Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Who's that, Steve? Who is that? I've never heard of them before. DWO. Who's that? Gotta be honest, I don't really watch Jeff Taylor. Not really my cup of tea. Not his style of doing things. Not my cup of tea. Probably a really decent guy. I just don't watch his channel. I watched a few of his videos. Just couldn't watch it. I don't know if it's because it's scripted or it's heavily scripted. But when he's reading from his script, he sounds like a robot, and it just doesn't seem natural. That's why I don't use scripts. I mean, I might f up in my videos and my live streams, but it's real. I don't like scripts. I don't like doing scripted videos. Yeah, it's more professional, it's more polished, but that's not what my channel's about. I don't want to be professional and polished. I just want to be an average day guy in the street just giving his opinion. That's all this channel is. But yeah, oh, I get you right. Yeah, I watch him occasionally, but I don't know how to put this that with Dan Wootton. I agree with a lot of what he says, but he just comes across as fake when he's saying it. A lot of what he says, I totally agree with. It just doesn't come across as being genuine in what he says. He doesn't. It's not believable. You'll probably know this, Steve. You know, if you were in the police force and stuff like that, I think you were, weren't you? When you've been either in the forces or you've been in the police force, you can tell when people are bullshitting or whether they're genuine or not, or whether they're being honest in what they're saying. And Dan Wootton comes across as not really believing in what he says. He's just saying it for the sake of camera. That's how it comes across to me. As anyway, that's how it comes across to me. Exactly. He's a media man. He's like I said. I believe. I agree with a lot of what he says, but it just comes across as a little bit fake. Bit game show hosty mixed in with daytime TV presenter, if you know what I mean. That's what it comes across to me. Anyway, this stream is open for all open floor on all topics tonight, so nothing is off the agenda. I'm just going to drop this here. This is the first thing. I've got a screenshot here. I just want to get people's opinion on this. So Richard Inman has said, I have resigned from UKIP and joined Advanced UK. What do people think about that? There's a big outrage on X about this from people in UKIP, obviously, and a few other people. But I don't have a horse in this race. I don't care if he goes to UKIP or he joins Advance. It's nothing to do with me. But what do you guys think of it? Yeah, I think that as well, Steve. With Dan Wootton, definitely. He comes across as fake. Fake smiles, fake. And I know he's got to do it to earn a living, and I don't blame anybody for getting sponsors. But when he does the sponsorship thing about face cream and shit like that, it just makes me cringe. And to be honest with you, it does with Paul Joseph Watson as well, because it seems the majority of his video is just an advertisement for other products. I used to watch him a lot as well, Paul Joseph Watson, but I've stopped watching him now as much because he just seems to be just, touting crap on his channel. Right, from the gist that I'm getting on X, and I don't know if you're on X at all, Steve, everybody's confused, totally confused. And I was going to mention this. I'll mention this now, actually, now you brought it up. The right wing of politics is just completely and utterly fractured, isn't it? It's fractured beyond belief. It really is. Because now we've got I've seen them, I've been watching them for the past few days since it was been announced. We've got all the different factions fighting amongst each other now. You've got the UKIP factions fighting. You've got people who've just joined Advanced, starting with the tribalism. People who've joined up to Rupert Lowe's Restore UK, they're getting tribalistic. And apparently, Rupert Lowe hasn't ruled out that the Restore UK movement won't become a political party at some point. So that's going to be another right-wing political party that is going to be launched in the future. So as of now, I've counted up to 15 of these little parties popping up. It's not looking good for the right wing of politics. So I've got some of the comments. Disappointing, yeah. Hello, Vindicator from Portsmouth. Hi, Dougie Sayers. How you doing, mate? To us, UKIP has devolved from a political party to an activist movement. I've been to 2 of Nick's rallies, and he barely gets 40 max, let alone 50 plus. Yeah, I've got to admit that there weren't that many at the rally I went to in Nottingham. There really weren't, unfortunately. And it's kind of like Britain First as well. Britain First is the same. They just get a low turnout, unfortunately. You're right, Steve. It is. It's definitely it's like the life of Brian. It is. Or if they actually all got together and they sat down together, all these individual parties, and then they threw all their policies into the table and say, "This is what we stand for. This is what we stand for." They would all find they all agree on absolutely everything. The only thing that separates them is their egos. It's not policy; it's ego. It's that everybody wants to be the savior of the country, and we're going to be the ones to do it. And while ever the right wing think like that, nothing's ever going to change. We're not going to save the country that way. I agree. I actually agree with Lawrence Fox. We need a whole encompassing party that's a broad church that includes absolutely everybody. Those that want to push the Christianity side of things, great, let's do that under one banner. And all those that, because they all agree on the same things. There's absolutely nothing that they don't agree on at all. It's just egos. The only thing that differentiates them is the leader's ego. And it's stopping them from uniting and actually just pushing reform out of the way. They could even push Advanced out of the way if they all joined together and grouped together and started doing rallies together. That they would, honestly, they would. The thing that annoys me as well is that why is it whenever we get a new political party, they think they have to start a new movement? The movement already exists. There are literally millions of patriots out there waiting for a coherent group of people to get together and lead them and give them leadership. They don't need to start a new movement. It's already there. You've just got to tap into it. I'm getting sick of it. We had the Great British Pack, which was supposed to start a new movement. And now we've got this Restore UK. We're going to start a new movement, a new political movement. It's like, fucking hell. I think everybody's just got fatigue now. I've got politics fatigue with everything. Somebody today asked me in the comments to make a positive video highlighting Advance's policies. And it's like, I can't. If you've read the pledge, then you've read what Advance UK is all about at the beginning. Rupert Lowe's not exactly mentioned any policy yet on anything. Yeah, he's got his core values. He stands for free speech, democracy, and sovereignty of the country. That's literally every other party at the moment. So there's nothing different there at the minute. This is why he should have done a press conference. This is why he should have done a press conference. And it felt rushed. He shouldn't have done a launch online. He should have hired out a venue, had a press conference, had all the different media there. And if the mainstream media didn't turn up, fair enough, they don't turn up, but invite them anyway. You invite GB News, you invite the BBC, you invite ITV and all that, and then you call them out. You say, I invited them, they just didn't turn up. They're not interested. And then you just have the new media, which would be the citizen journalists, turn up. You invite the Lotus Eaters, you invite all the individual independent journalists like 2CTV and all that lot to come to your press conference and launch it that way. Have a massive media event. But he didn't. He launched it online. And it didn't have the impact. It just didn't have the impact. He launched the party, I believe, some people saying, at 7:30 in the morning in a tweet. Now, that doesn't sound like somebody that's particularly interested in saving the country to me. That's what it comes across as. That's what people were thinking. And there's issues already because apparently if you go and search for advanced online, it comes up with a completely different website. It's not even, it doesn't even come up in the search engine as the top of the list. And like people have been saying, he's not bought the domain name for the Advanced Party. That's why he needs to register it straight away, because there's nothing stopping somebody now from going in there and claiming the Advanced UK name for themselves. And then he's launched a party, but now he can't use the name. That's the issue with everything. I generally believe that Ben Habib has got the country's best interests at heart, but the only thing that he should have taken out of Nigel Farage's book is the showmanship. If you're going to launch a party, it needs to be big, it needs to be massive, and it needs to grab headlines. You need to do something like that, and he didn't. And I think a lot of people were disappointed. If he wasn't ready, then he shouldn't have launched the party. He should have waited until he reached his 30,000 member limit and said, look, launch the party on that day, and said, look, we've already got 30,000 members already. And then launch the party on that day with a big press conference, invite some of those members down to the press conference, get them to ask you questions, have a back and forth about your policies, bring out the team that surround you, bring out the board members and say, this is the team that are going to take this country back. And that sort of thing. None of that happened. Didn't happen. And I implore everybody to go and watch that Lotus Eaters podcast with Wolf. What's his name? I can't remember his first name. His name, is it Stephen Wolf? Stephen Wolf or something like that. He basically did a constructive criticism breakdown of where Ben Habib went wrong with the launch. And it's very interesting because I agree with everything they said within that it was lackluster. It didn't grab any headlines. The name isn't good enough. It doesn't grab your attention. It doesn't. Advanced UK, it doesn't say patriotic movement to me. And that's what it should have been. It needed to be something different. Somebody actually said, I'm not sure about this name either, but it would have been better than Advance. Somebody said, they should have called it Change UK, and because we don't want reform, we want change. And that could have been the slogan. That would have been a very good slogan, actually. We don't want reform, we want change. That could have been a great slogan. I'll be supporting Rupert. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with supporting Rupert, but I'll say something about Rupert Lowe. He told Ben Habib he wasn't interested in joining his party or any other party. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that Rupert Lowe's legacy is just going to be building a movement, and he's going to build his Restore UK up into an actual party, and then he'll get somebody else to take over. I don't think Rupert Lowe is going to stand at the next general election. I think he's going to get out of politics. I think he's been in, he's seen what it's like, and he's kind of had enough. 4 years. He'll be You know, he'll have been in it for 4 years. And how old is he now? Is he what? Is he 76 or something like that? 76? I don't know how old he is, but you know, he's going to be 80 before his time in Parliament is done. So I don't think we'll see him at the next general election, unfortunately. It also needs to have policies, not a college of whatever, to think about things. That is where the police went wrong. Yeah, exactly. The most important thing for anything is to have concrete policies and then have your cabinet. Have your cabinet of people, your spokespeople, that are going to talk about the different issues that you want to talk about as a party. That is something that the Reform Party hasn't done. They don't have a cohesive group of people like that. It's just Nigel Farage at the top saying everything, isn't it? Yeah, he's 60, right. So he's 67 now. So, right, by the time he's going to be what? 67? He's going to be 71 by the time the next general election comes around. You know, would you want to be in politics at that age? Rupert's wife probably giving him grief. Yeah, exactly. Let's face it, he's not had a really good experience being an MP, has he? He's had Nigel Farage and co smearing him in and, going after his reputation and that sort of thing. So he's not had a great experience. I think he's a strong guy. I think he's done a lot, but yeah. Trump is 79. Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be, he won't be running for president again, will he? After his 4 years are up, but time he's done, he's going to be what? Yeah. He's going to be 83 by the time the next presidential election comes around. Yeah, but Jack, Rupert Lowe and President Trump, it's different, isn't it? I don't think Rupert's that interested in politics. I think he just wants to change the country. And, if he really wanted to stay around, he'd have joined Rupert, wouldn't he? He'd have joined Rupert's party. Sorry, he'd have joined Ben's party. Yep. All right, so I'm going to bring this up. I'm just bringing this up because I'm interested to see, if anybody else has seen this. So apparently, Paul Thorpe has purged his Twitter account on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what's going on there, but I usually check in from time to time to see what's actually saying online. Well, I checked in this time, and his account has gone. It's like he's deleted it. So I don't know what's going on there. I want to say something else as well, right? Has everybody heard of Danny Roscoe? You've heard of Danny Roscoe. If you're not already subscribed to his channel, go and subscribe to the guy's channel. He does great content, and it just falls on deaf ears. It really does. This guy has been in the movement for years, absolute years. And I agree with him. I agree with Danny Roscoe. He said that people have come out of nowhere. People have got gift of the gab. I think we all know what he's talking about. And kind of soaked up all the resources from actual people that, do put boots on the ground and go out and interview people and get out there. Like Danny Roscoe does. He just get out there. He does do protests. He does do, filming on the street and that sort of thing, which is something that, we never saw Paul Thorpe do or Richard Inman do. I think Richard Inman does to a certain extent in Northern Ireland. He does go out and protest and stuff like that. Something we never saw Paul Thorpe do. Never saw him go and do a counter protest that stand up to racism or anything like that. He just talks online. Yeah, Danny's awesome. I like Danny a lot, and he doesn't get enough recognition, in my opinion. I mean, he's a bigger channel than I am, but he doesn't get enough recognition for what he does. He talks a lot of great stuff as well. He really does, and he's genuine, unlike some of the others who I think are just hanger-oners. I'll tell you something now, right? And this is from years ago, but do you all know Active Patriot? He's the guy that he got famous when he was filming all the illegal immigrants coming in at Dover Dock, and he got arrested. He got chased by the border force on an e-scooter. He was on an e-scooter, and they were chasing after him, and he got arrested because he was filming over the fence all the illegal immigrants coming in, and they obviously didn't want people to know just how many were coming in at the time. Have you actually? I'm guessing people know what Active Patriot is. He said this to me. Well, he didn't say it to me, but he put it out on social media. He said, I like Tommy Robinson, but I don't like the team that surrounds him. I don't think he was referring to the close team, the team that do all his admin and stuff like that, security, anything like that. I think he was talking about the people that we know. That, that are a bit two-faced, a bit, hanger-on-y sort of thing. Well, he said he wasn't making political content, but he's making political content, and he's doing it out in Spain now. So fair enough, hats off to the guy, if that's the way he makes money and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I'd rather see Danny Roscoe and others like him getting the resources that Paul Thorpe has got, who are actually wanting to go out there and do things to save the country, who are actually still in the country and still want to go out and report on different things. But instead, people, fall for the silver tongue of certain people, and they give them super chats, they donate to the channel, that sort of thing. When really those resources could be going to a better content creator, in my opinion. Yeah, he did my head in with all that. You mean the ones that think Unite the Kingdom marches will make a difference? Yes. And every time I brought up the fact that they need to move the Unite the Kingdom marches around the country so that everybody in the country can take part, I got shut down. I suggested that maybe at the same time, this kind of proved them wrong, actually, because they said, if we did different marches around the country at the same time, it would descend into chaos. And yet we had the Great British Strike that did just that, and it didn't descend into chaos because they had security, was well organised, and it could be well organised if they did it. It was well organised, and all they did is when the far left gave them shit, they all turned their backs on them. And that did far more damage to the far left than engaging with them, because it just we don't think you're important enough to even look at. So that kind of proved Paul Thorpe wrong on that theory. He went by the guys, if we allow rallies all around the country, it'll get out of control and there'll be trouble. What do you mean about the UKIP logo? I don't know if that's addressed to me or somebody else, but I'll address that one as well. The UKIP logo. If UKIP wants to go anywhere, and I love Nick Tenconi, don't get me wrong, but if they want to actually do anything, they need to rebrand now. They need to remove all traces of Nigel Farage from their party. That means getting rid of the £sign flag completely and coming up with a different design, completely revamping their image, beefing up their websites and moving away from Nigel Farage. Because, like many people have said, Nigel Farage torpedoed UKIP when he left it. He killed the party. He killed it dead. So they, in my opinion, now that this Advanced UK has messed up its launched, UKIP could take advantage of that now and relaunch itself as a new image and get more attention, because that's what they need to do. They need to rebrand. And lots of people have been saying it. They need to rebrand. It's a dead brand. Too many people associate it with Nigel Farage and won't get behind it for that reason. So they need to rebrand. It's as simple as that. Next National Strike Rally is on the 16th of August. I've heard, isn't it down at Dover? They're going down to Dover on the beach. And instead of just doing a rally, they're actually going to patrol the beach looking for illegal immigrants landing. See, I think that would be a great thing. Instead of doing all these rallies all the time, I'd be in on it. I'd definitely be on it. If they organised something like that and said, look, for one weekend, we're all going to go down to Dover, and for one weekend, we're going to patrol the shoreline, and we're going to ring in any illegal immigrants that make landfall. Because a lot of people just think that the Border Force and the RLNI bring in all the immigrants that come into the country. No way. There are lots of boats that make landfall that don't even get caught by Border Force. They land on the beaches and they run inland. And the government won't mention them because they've got no clue where they're going. When Active Patriot was on the beach down in Dover, he was like walking down the beach and finding absolutely loads of abandoned rubber dinghies on the shoreline. And Border Force comes around, collects them all up, sticks them in a pen, and then ships them off back to France for them to use again. Check because the E sign was Farage because he was the only interested in finance. Exactly. Why is the UKIP logo all Nigel Farage? Because he designed the image of the party. That's in July. So they're going down to Dover in July. All right, okay. I gave Nick's ideas in person, but wouldn't take my advice. I gave Nick ideas in person, but wouldn't take my advice, right? See, that's what you don't need. You need people that are going to listen. And if he's not going to listen to people that support him, he's not going to go very far. That's all the feedback I've been getting anyway, from people giving constructive criticism about UKIP. Everybody I talk to says they like the idea of UKIP, but they said it desperately needs to rebrand. Yeah, Vince, a woman approached me at the school gates about the numbers that just disappear into the back garden. Yeah, go and subscribe to Active Patriot as well. If you don't know who he is, go and subscribe. Look for him on YouTube and Twitter. Just type in Active Patriot, and he does great work too. Absolutely great work. He goes around all the illegal immigrant hotels, exposing them all. He goes to Dover and exposes the immigrants coming ashore and that sort of thing. These are people that put boots on the ground. They're not just on the internet talking about things. Like people who are doing, like Paul Thorpe and that Danny guy and Richard Inman. These are people that actually go out there and try and make a difference. I would advise everybody to go and either sign up to or look into The Shield. This is a group of people. They're not vigilantes. They're being trained as we speak. They're going to be patrolling areas in all parts of the country. They've got branches. They're going to be getting all branches in all parts of the country to police areas to make sure that women and children are safe. And I can't get behind that enough. Now I really should get their page up on here really, but I can't at the minute. But I might even do it. I might do a video about that tomorrow about the Shield and just give them a bit of a boost and give them a bit of a shout out as well, because that's what needs to happen. We need to like promote these people that are out there trying to make this country better, because although it's good people discussing it on the internet, at some point we've just got to get off of here and go out and actually make the world a better place. We just have, and that's what I'm aiming for, because I haven't talked about this much really about Nottingham or that other protest that I did. I love being out. I love being out and actually interacting with people and facing the opposition and just showing people how idiotic these people are. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, we've seen them all before," but a lot of people haven't. And I don't, as a person, I know people are like worried about my safety and stuff like that, but I can handle myself. I did 5 years in one of the most hostile environments on the planet you can imagine. So anything these people can throw at me is nothing. It really isn't. I'm used to it. People, going to Manchester to me is like going back to Iraq for me. And I know it's hard to explain, but it is a bit of an adrenaline rush. I do get a bit of a rush from it. I loved it. I love that type of work and being out there and, videoing it and doing that sort of thing. I might start off small. Steve advised me, my moderator, he said, start off small, do small ones. So I might go to Sheffield first, and cover the pro-Palestine march in Sheffield. Then I might go to Leeds, cover Leeds, and then head off to Manchester and do one in Manchester and that sort of thing, because I do want to be an out and about sort of person. I don't always want to be just sat behind a computer talking about stuff. I really don't. That's not me. And that's where I want to take the channel really. I want to like go out and about and do things and make it more interesting. UKIP should start from scratch and rebrand themselves as the No Jack. If you knew what the go and research the BNP, and then you'll understand why calling themselves the BNP Party 2 is not a good idea. What's that? Tipton, what's that about? I don't understand what that's about. We all need to call out and purge the Patriot movement from all the grifters. All they do is confuse the movement and slow it down. Paul Thorpe, Andre Walker, Alex Phillips, etc. Yeah, this is what annoys me, right? Because even though they say they don't, they get such a massive following and they get so much power behind, they get influence from the amount of people they have. And then they claim to speak for everybody in the movement. They say they don't, but they do. And that's what annoys me. It's like, hold on a minute, mate, where have you come from? A year ago, you weren't even involved in this movement. I've been doing this for the last, 19 years? I've been doing this for 19 years. It's, I was on YouTube when it was in beta mode. That's when I was on YouTube. And you get these people that's coming in, like Danny Roscoe says, they've got the gift of the gab. They can sweet talk people into following them, believing every word, hanging off every word they say. And what do? They don't do anything. They're just nothing burgers, they're vapid. They just talk. And I'm just going to say it now, I don't like Paul Thorpe. I don't like him. I really don't like him. There's something about the guy I just don't like. I really don't. I don't know what it is, but I don't like him. Just reading some of the comments. Those three never had anything to offer. They used to waffle on a lot, and it used to just drive me insane. And I don't know what it is with Richard Inman, but he all right, fair enough. I've got nothing against people having faith. Good for you. Have spiritualism in your life, great. But then he went from not talking about Christianity to being like a TV evangelist in some of his videos. It was like, oh, no, too heavy, too much, way too much. Exactly. These are the people we should be getting behind. The people that are out on the street and trying to make a difference in the country. All those people that sit online and just talk about shit. And, fair enough for them, that's how they want to make a living, that sort of thing. Good on them. But I put more faith into people that are out on the street. I watch a lot of auditors now. I was in two minds about auditors in the past. I didn't know whether they were going to be a force for good or a force for bad. But now I see that they're a necessity. Auditors are a necessity. I met a few of them at the Nottingham UKIP rally, and they're good lads. They really are good lads. They all stick together. They all watch out for each other, and that's the crowd I kind of want to get into, because there is safety in numbers. So if I start doing protests, it's good to have backup and move around in a crowd of people and have each other's backs. So yeah, it's also going out there to network with people as well and form networks and and stuff like that. Because next year I would love for a load of people to be in Chesterfield with me when I go to that communist gala thing again. That would be awesome if I could get I'm not talking loads of people, maybe just like 10 or 20 people to be there, and we can all have each other's backs, because it is quite spicy at that rally. It really is, because it's not policed. It's not policed at all. Yeah, it's. I think that's the unifying thing with all of us. I know people are trying to revitalize the Christian movement, and that's a good thing. And I'm not going to stand against anybody that wants to do that, because we do need that in this country. We are a Christian nation. We need people to do that, but that's not what I'm a part of. I'm a nationalist. I love my country, and people think it's racist to be a nationalist. It's not racist to be a nationalist if you love your country and you want to protect its heritage, its culture, and its identity. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And obviously that's been used to demonize people. Oh, you're a nationalist. You must be racist because you love your country. It's just another buzzword used by the far left to demonize people. I hated daughters. No, but love them. AB's a good one. Yeah, AB's a good one. To be honest, the main one I watch who's pretty good is DJE Media. He's brilliant. I love that guy. There are some auditors, and they know who they are, but they purposely go out there and they purposely antagonize people into a reaction for views. I actually think everybody's seen that one, Jack. I think everybody's seen Silenced. The commies, not far left. Same thing. Far left commies, same thing. Oh, you're right. You'll find this one interesting, Alex. Yes, it's okay for Annan Gaza to be nationalist. Exactly. But I think everybody's going to find this one interesting. Dozens of MPs call on Starmer to urgently establish Ukraine-style visa for Gazans. And when they say dozens of MPs, they mean dozens of Labour, Liberal Democrat and Green MPs want a urgently established Ukraine-style visa for Gazans. Right. There's a good reason why most of the Middle East won't allow refugees from Gaza to enter their countries. There's a very good reason for that. And that reason is they always bring Hamas with them. That they always bring Hamas with them everywhere they go. They went to, I think it was Jordan. They went to Jordan. They got kicked out of Jordan because they were trying to overthrow the government there. That's the issue we have with Gazans. We've got all these pro-Palestine nut jobs now. You know, what is it? Palestine Action. We've got those nut jobs now. Imagine if they actually got Hamas leadership to lead them from actual Palestine. How effective they would be. We'd be in real trouble. There'd be more Bryce Nortons. And what about that? Bryce Norton, you know, an RAF base where a group of far left nut jobs managed to sneak themselves onto, you know, one of the most secure sites in the country and damage our aircraft. And apparently the fences aren't that big. You can just walk straight onto the site. It's crazy. Yeah, exactly. They started the civil war in Libya. Yep. A lot of people don't realise as well, I have to keep saying this, Iran funds ISIS and Hamas. Because I had one idiot on, what was it? It was on X a few weeks ago. I think it was Darren from Plymouth. And he was saying because he was against President Trump bombing Iran or Israel bombing Iran. He said, what harm has Iran done to this country? And it's like, you do realise they fund terrorists. They fund terrorists to fight the proxy wars for them. That's what Iran does. All the insurgents that were in Iraq, all the ISIS insurgents that were in Iraq were trained by Iranian forces. We were actually close to the Iran border, and we knew exactly where these people crossed into Iraq from. We used to watch them. And you've got people like this that were just uninformed. And there's a lot of people on the right that just aren't informed about things either. They don't understand. You know, think, oh, we need to leave them alone. They've not done anything to us. They've been wanting to destroy the West for years. They call America the Great Satan. They've been trying to destroy it for years. They want to destroy Israel. You know, these people are insane. And that's what all these far left nut jobs don't understand. They think it's Israel picking on all these Muslim countries. No, it's not. They're surrounded by Muslim countries that don't want Israel to exist. And they've done everything in their power to destroy them. How can you have peace with a country, Palestine, that has declared that it wants to, and they say it in the chants, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And that means from the River Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea, they want the whole land for themselves, which means the eradication of the Jewish people. How can you make peace with that? How can you have a two-state solution, create another state and recognize Palestine as a state when its main manifesto pledge is to totally wipe out a country? You can't have peace with that. I didn't know about that. Have you got any links for that, Steve? You can post a link in the chat and, you know, let people read about that. Israel stopped an ICBM that was pointed at Paris or London on Saturday. Thoughts on Paul Thorpe saying he wants Kemi Badnoch as his next door neighbour? Oh, God. I've got no opinion on Paul Thorpe. I really haven't. I stopped watching the guy for a reason. Has anyone watched Craig Houston's video about the change made today on PM's job description? No, I've not seen anything about that. To be honest with you, you know, my Twitter bookmark section is absolutely jam-packed full with things that I've got to talk about. You know, this is why when I get a better laptop, I'm going to start doing more live streams and less. Well, it's like, you know what my Tuesday does, so you can cover lots of topics in one go rather than have to make a video about every single subject. That's my plan for the future. I've got that much I need to talk about. If you make more than 3 videos a day, they get buried. For some reason, YouTube doesn't like you making lots of videos in a day. It basically, after you've made 2, it stops promoting them. Don't know why. I haven't got a clue why. It doesn't like you making loads of content, which is strange for a video sharing site. You think they want to promote people to make more content in a day and promote it because it's good for their site. It's, you know, it's showing that their site is active. But for some reason, the algorithm goes against you if you make more than 3 videos a day. Never understood that. It seems strange for a video sharing site. Let's have a look at some of these, right? When Paul Thorpe said he wanted Kemi's next door neighbour, I responded by saying, don't say that, it's stupid. It's like saying I want Keir Starmer next door to you. Right, okay, Jack. Ed Davis has an MP, not elected, whose father has direct links to the Ayatollah. Also, his uncle is wanted by the ICC for crimes against humanity. Well, Ed Davis has an MP, not elected. How is that even possible? How can you have a non-elected MP? I'm planning on leaving the UK next year. I'll have no hope things will change. This country is just crumbling. I think lots of people are thinking that way. And you know what? The only issue I had with Paul Thorpe leaving the country is because he made that video a few months ago saying that he wasn't leaving the country and that he was going to stand by the Patriots and he would stand and fight. You know, if he'd have just come out clean and said, oh yeah, I don't know if I can stay in this country, guys. You know, it's getting a bit rough. I want to get my family out because I don't want to live under this anymore. I would have had loads of respect for the guy. It's like, yeah, fair enough, mate. You go for it. And to be honest with you, I don't blame anybody for getting out of this country now, because looking at the political situation, the political solutions, I don't think there is one. You know, unless there's drastic change within the next 3 years, then we're in real trouble. We are. I don't blame anybody for wanting to leave the country. If you're young and you've got the ability to move abroad away from it, I don't blame anybody for doing it. They're not Nazis, Jack. They're communists. They're communists. And there's not much difference between the National Socialists and communists at all. I said this in a video the other day, that lots of people, when we see Antifa running around the streets shouting Nazi scum off our streets, they're not shouting that in a moral way. They're shouting that in a we want the power, not you way. So it's like we don't necessarily disagree with your methods. We just don't want you to have the power that we want the power, if you know what I mean. There's nothing moral about them. They're not disgusted at what they are as being Nazis. They just see them as, you know, they see Nazis everywhere because that's the natural enemy of communists. You know, in Nazi Germany, it wasn't that the communists and the Nazis weren't fighting over morality. They were fighting over power, whose ideology was right, whose ideology was wrong. They both had the same methods. You've only got to look at communist Russia for that. They had gulags, which were more or less same as concentration camps for dissidents, political people that disagreed with the government. They were all disappeared to these death camps where they were worked to death. So they weren't that much different from the Nazis with the concentration camps. In fact, if you look at communists, they're way worse than the Nazis. Obviously, the Nazis were bad, but the communists, they were way worse because they weren't wiped out. They were allowed to continue. And I learned this the other day. I was looking to Castro and Che Guevara and all that lot, and they were absolutely brutal in Cuba. They were killing black Cubans. They were killing homosexuals. They were imprisoning them. They were torturing them. You'll see lefties walking around with Che Guevara on their T-shirt as some kind of revolutionary hero. He was an absolute scumbag. You know, him and Hitler would have had lots to talk about if they ever got together. They'd probably been great pals. Exactly, Steve. And there's obviously worldwide, it's I think it's beyond, I think it's over 200 million people now that communism has killed, because we've still got communist China. And they have a policy where they disappear their female babies. There's an absolute, I think, was it, they're only allowed one child, aren't they, in China? I'm sure, is that rule still in effect, that they're allowed one child? And usually, if it's a female, they get rid of them. They keep the males. There's like, it's an absolute genocide of, well, infanticide in China. Yeah, this is what I love. You've got all these people thinking communism's great, and yet you've got people in Cuba that go on makeshift rafts that risk the 90-mile stretch to Florida on a makeshift raft, swimming across shark-infested waters, risking of drowning, and they do all that to escape a communist utopia. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? I mean, it's got nothing to do with the fact that it's communism and they're basically slaves and they've got no life of their own. And it's a police state, basically. It's got nothing to do with that, has it? So take that's over now then, right? Okay. Because I know at one time there were stories coming out of them finding literally thousands of drowned female Chinese babies in paddy fields and stuff like that. They just used to go out and drown them, and they just leave the bodies out in the fields. Yes, people desperate. One guy floated to Florida using condoms. Obviously, a lot of them don't make it. Lots of them don't make it. They either get eaten by sharks or they drown, or they just die of dehydration. It's horrific. And then you've got North Korea. You've got the people that, try and escape North Korea, because that's such a utopia as well, isn't it? Where, millions of people starve to death because the leaders have no clue, because they're not real leaders. They're insane. Yeah, I saw the stats today on that. I saw the stats. What is it? Something like 89% of all newborns in this country now are born to foreign women. Or was that London? Or was that just London? 89% of all babies born in London are born to foreign women. I think it's something like that, isn't it? I'm not sure. I don't think it's nationwide or anything like that. Not that long ago then, really, was it? It's only what, 2015, 10 years ago it ended. But I love it when the communists get on their high moral ground and think, oh, we were against the Nazis. It's like, well, not really. Your ideology, if you look at Soviet Russia, you had a non-aggression pact with Hitler in World War II. You only joined the war when, he invaded your country. He invaded Russia. They like to gloss over that fact, though, that there wasn't really anything moral between the communists and the Nazis. It was just all about power and who was going to have control of Germany. That's what it was about. Nothing moral in there was. However, they agreed more or less on every single policy. And the thing is, lots of people, Germans from the Communist Party of Germany, actually defected to the Nazis because they preferred their version of socialism. They won't bring that up, though, when they're chanting Nazi scum off our streets. will they? That lots of the Nazis joined their particular ideology because it was more appealing to them, and vice versa. They won't mention that. Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, that was London. But consider the number of girls that have been gang raped. Do you think they are going to play happy families? No, they're not. So look at some of these. So I want to put this guy up because I want to make this guy a little bit famous. So this absolute muppet on screen now thought it would be clever to shout out my full name and where I work on my live stream when I was at that protest in Chesterfield. This was the one a few Mondays ago where I did that snap protest thing that they were doing. Yeah, this guy. I know his name. I know who he is and what he's about. But I'm not a piece of shit like he is. I'm not going to dox him online or anything like that. Just wanted to show you guys him. Hey, Busker, how you doing? Long time no see, Busker. That's the one, Steve. Actually, yeah, you are a mod as well, aren't you, Busker? Nice one. He is. He was. He was a muppet. Obviously, when you're dropping truth bombs on people, they have to go that step further and dox you because they've got no argument. Zero argument. Had to resort to shout out my name on a live stream. And you know what? My name is David Hollingworth. My name is David Hollingworth. I live in Chesterfield. Come at me, bro. They've obviously been checking out my Facebook page and that sort of thing. These people probably know everything about me already anyway. Me and Busker go way back. We were doing live streams together ages ago, long time ago. Weren't we, Busker? Used to have a lot of laughs as well. We used to debate. We used to have the far left and the far right coming into our live streams trying to debate us. It was lots of fun back in the day. I guarantee he works with Hope Not Hate. Probably so. Probably so. They all tie in together. Yes, mate. Once I get my new laptop, I'll have to have you in on a stream again, Busker. I can't do it at the minute because this laptop is shocking. And every time I invite somebody in, the stream just slows down because of the bandwidth and stuff like that. So yeah, when I get my new streaming laptop, I can see thought bang bang scenario starting Vin. Mm. I've, to be honest with you, I've not paid too much attention to all the drama surrounding it because I just don't care. I don't care. You know, I've got a pretty good gist of what Paul Thorpe is. When I made those videos about him ages ago, I could tell how he thought because he dropped me a comment saying, "Oh, your videos about me did really well," as if to say, as if to like insinuate that the only reason I made the videos was to get clicks and get views. Well, I think that was just projection on his part because a lot of people they project themselves onto you because that's the only way they think. That he didn't think that maybe it was constructive criticism and that he put something out on the internet that I wanted to criticize. And it wasn't because I wanted clicks or because he was famous. It was simply because I didn't agree with the things he was saying. But that went straight over his head. You know, he just assumed that, oh, the only reason you're making videos about me is because you want clicks and it's because you want to, ride my coattails. Nothing of the sort. I meant you and the Muppet. What do you mean, me and the Muppet? What are you on about? Look, Paul Thorpe puts his opinions on the internet, and that's a free marketplace of ideas. So if he puts something out on the internet that I disagree with, I've got every right to criticise him for it. If you think that people should be put on a pedestal and protected simply because of who they are, then fuck you. I don't give a shit. I'm going to make videos about whoever the hell I like. And no, I'm not starting any drama with Paul Thorpe. The only reason I'm bringing him up is because, you know, he's an idiot. He is an idiot. Well, you just said me and the Muppet, so I don't know what that's about. You said, no, you and the Muppet. Oh, right, okay, yeah, I get you. Sorry about that, yeah. This guy, Jesus Christ. No, I haven't. And to be honest with you, right, Stephen Laws. I agree with a lot of what he's got to say, but I don't know how to put this without. He's very anti-Semitic, and he has had ties with certain groups of people that I'm not saying he does, but he does have ties with people who worship the Austrian painter, if you know what I mean. He thought he was being clever by coming over and shouting my name and stuff like that out on camera. The only issue, I had to actually block somebody. I mentioned this in one of my live streams. I had to block somebody because they were dropping my kids' names in the chat, and luckily I caught it in time, and nobody actually saw it. I managed to like block the person from the channel. That's when it's crossing the line. Say anything you want about me. I don't care. I've got a thick skin. I can take it. But don't bring my family into it because they're nothing to do with this at all. And, you know, don't endanger my family. He was one step away. He was one step away from if this person on screen right now knew where I lived, he wouldn't have hesitated to shout out where I lived on the live stream. No, he wouldn't. And that's the sort of person these people are. They don't care. They don't care. And that's the risk you take when you do this sort of thing. And that's something I took on board. And, you know, I discussed this with my partner when I started doing this. It's like, you know, I said, if any time at any one time that we get, you know, a threat, a real life threat, and because we did have at one time, this was ages ago, I did have one nut job posting pictures of my house on social media where I lived at the time, and that was when I first started doing the. That was after I did the first stand up to racism protest. I didn't mention that at the time because I didn't want to give the guy oxygen, but yeah, pretty much advertised where I lived just because they thought they were justified in doing it. This is because they're brainwashed. They literally think we're evil, and we're not. They literally think we're Nazis because that's what they've been brainwashed to think. And they think that's justification for doing anything they want. This is why that guy on stage at Glastonbury, Bob Villain, and Kneecap, They should face charges because they're not only giving credence to violence against people, um, Jewish people and stuff like that. Idiots in the audience would take that as justification for violence against anybody. They would. Oh, they're definitely watching. They're definitely watching the channel. And I'm not going to stop saying stuff just because they could be watching the channel, because I'm not going to self censor because of them. Anything that comes my way is on them. It's definitely turning. Yes, there are 36 online now, but far fewer liking or interacting. Exactly. Lots of people just like to watch, though. I don't think they're all haters or whatever. But yeah, they're definitely watching. There'll probably be one or two watching, keeping an eye out, see what I'm actually saying. But I know who they are. You see, I do know who they are. I'd never disclose it online because I'm not like them, and I always keep my cards close to my chest. I know what certain things have been said. I even know who stole my phone when I went to that communist gala. I never said anything. You keep quiet. You keep your cards close to your chest. You let your enemies make mistakes, and they will make mistakes. Trust me, they will. They will trip themselves up eventually. I know for certain because I have friends in the security industry that have told me, because these people think that I work for certain security companies. I haven't worked for these certain security companies in a long time, but I know the bosses. I get really pally with the owners and stuff like that when I go, because it's like a family. And they tell me, they said, these people have been in touch with us. They're saying all this stuff about you. And I've got a dossier about the things that have been said. I know they're actively going around firms, especially agencies, trying to get me blacklisted. They succeeded on a few occasions to get me stopped from being employed by certain people. I know this for certain. But this is how these people operate. They think they've got the moral high ground. But what kind of person does that simply because I don't agree with their views? I've never threatened them physically. I've never gone after them with violence or anything like that. The only thing they attack me for is my opinion. They have no moral high ground. Oh, Steve, mate, I could tell you lots of things. When I first came back from Iraq, and I'm going to say this, I don't know how risky this is, me saying this, but the people I used to work for out in Iraq are people you don't mess with. They're really not. They are dodgy individuals. And I'm guessing you probably know that. The people, I mean, I did close protection out in Iraq, and these people are not people that you want to mess with. My NDA, I can't even speak about my NDA. I can't go into details about it, but it is very, very restrictive in what I can and cannot say. To such a point that it's actually stopped me from getting work because I've got this huge gap in my employment history that I can't talk about. 5 years. When I first came back to this country, I found it really hard to get security work because you've got to have a 5 year checkable work history. And I just couldn't do it because it's like, oh, what have you been doing for the last 5 years? And the NDA says, you can't talk about it. You can't even discuss it. And all I'm going to say is that there were rumors that the company we were working for had ties to the CIA, Black Ops, and all kinds of dodgy shit. That's all I can say. I won't even mention the firm. And I'm not even sure they exist anymore. But yeah, it was dodgy stuff. So I hope to God these people don't go digging around in my past and actually alert these people. Wouldn't like to be in their shoes. I don't speak about my time out there, places or anything like that, for a good reason. Because I don't want to mess with these people. They are absolutely paranoid, mate. They're paranoid. They are the most paranoid people I've ever met in my life. And the vetting I had to go through, they literally tore my life apart before they'd even consider me for an interview. And it was even more extensive once I'd got past the interview stage. They were, yeah. But the team I worked with out there, they were awesome. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's just say, Steve, they're more than capable of making people disappear, and the authorities wouldn't get involved. There would be no investigation. These are people you don't mess with. You really don't. And when they say don't mention anything about your time out and out, you do it. And it's not just because of that threat or the NDA. It's I don't know if there are people still out there that are still working in the area I was working. And I've got to be careful what I say, but it's not like being in the military. You don't have the massive resources of backup with air support, other teams. You do have other teams, but you don't necessarily get the infrastructure you do like you do in the military. So a lot of it you are on your own. And, I was told that when I went out there, so you're going to be on your own. There could be a time when, you're completely surrounded by people and, we might not be able to get to you. And you go, when you go with that knowledge. Everything they did with the promotion of what they were doing out there was a warning. Everything was a warning. It was like, this is your last opportunity to turn around and not want to go. They even said that at the airport. They said, this is your last chance to turn around and not go. Because at the time I was out there, it was the most dangerous place on the planet. It still probably is. But Iraq is a strange place. It really is. Everybody just thinks it's just Muslims attacking. It's not. You've got loads of different. You've got warlords. You've got drug dealers. You've got people traffickers. You've got all kinds of weirdness out there, and it's a very, very scary place. So, yeah, I hope they don't go digging around in my past too much. But yeah, like I said, I know they've been deliberately. The job offers, normally in security, you can go from job to job just like that. I've done it before. Before I started getting into politics before my channel really started taking off, before I reinitialized the channel again a few months ago. Well, it's nearly a year now. I was just on Twitter. I wasn't interested in doing videos anymore. I didn't like YouTube. I didn't like the algorithm, and everything happened with Southport, and after that, that's what really got me made me want to start making videos again and getting back into doing live streaming and getting back into it. But yeah, it literally is. It literally is the Wild West, and I'll be honest with you, it's the most scariest environment I've ever been in my life. Nothing prepares you for that first instant when you hear that high-pitched whistle go past your head from a high-powered rifle, because you can tell the difference between a machine gun round and a high-powered rifle. And usually, if it's a high-powered rifle, it's probably a sniper rifle because the bullet's going supersonic. That's scary, especially when you can see all the little splashes of dirt in front of you where bullets are actually hitting, and they're hitting all around you. Nothing prepares you for that at all. No amount of training. And we actually had some ex-armed response police come out for a while that tried it, and they were gone within a week. because it's all right walking around the town city centre with your, Heckle and Koch machine gun, and I'm not even sure what pistols they use now. What the arm response unit police is it a Glock? Do they have Glocks like the Americans, or is it something? I'm not even sure what they carry. But yeah, they thought it was all right, looking hard, walking around city streets with a machine gun, because nobody's going to shoot back at you in England. Not really. But in Iraq, everybody's got a weapon. Literally, everybody's got a weapon. You see kids walking around with like submachine guns. It's a crazy place. I saw what this was surreal to me. I saw two kids once walking down the street, and they both had RPGs. Just little kids walking around with RPGs. And yeah, Glock 19. That's it, Steve. I can't mention the weapons that we had out in Iraq, 'cause that's in the NDA. But we had we used to call it the Little Faithful. It's a way I can actually. P90. I'm just going to say P90. So I'm going to say P90, little submachine gun. Did the business. Great for doing CP work. Great little gun. But yeah, look at the only reason the guy in the flower shirt is difficult to disappear is the jaws of wood chip are only. Yeah. That's the one, mate. Although it doesn't have that, it doesn't have all the features that you saw in Stargate on it. You definitely can't cut a tree in half with it. Definitely not. But it's got decent stopping power, put it that way. Jack, why the hell would I want to email Paul Thorpe? I don't care about the guy, mate. I really don't. I'm not bothered about the guy. I'm not interested in drama with Paul Thorpe at all. I don't like the guy. He probably doesn't like me. And the feeling's mutual. I don't care. He's probably not even had a second thought about me. I'll tell you what's happening, right? I'll tell you what's happening. The whole third world, their governments have turned out their prisons and said, head towards the UK. They're offering you free houses, hotels, accommodation, free money. And obviously, I don't know who it was who uncovered the fast food places working out the migrant hotels. So all those pizzas and burgers you're getting from these fast food companies are all being cooked by migrants. I liked the P90 because it was a left-handed, right-handed gun. You could use it on either. It was very easy to use, and because the bullets are on the top, and it's a weird mechanism how it spins around inside. It's an easy gun to clean. It really is, and yeah, there's zero kickback from it. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Obviously, people, you can go and look it up online if you want to see what a P90 is and what it does. It's mainly for close protection, close quarters combat. That's what it's for. We're not going out there to go and take on entire squads of ISIS. It was mainly to protect our assets out in the field. It gave us that stopping power to get them to safety and stuff like that. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, of course. It was just like Trump said. It was AY audit. Yeah. He went in there and we could see them all cooking in the kitchens, all the food being prepared. Don't use Uber Eats, don't use Just Eat, don't use all these delivery firms, stuff like that, because 9 times out of 10, the person that's coming to deliver your takeaway to your door is an illegal immigrant. I think DJE Media, he uncovered that they were getting 700 quid a week on the side, as well as free accommodation. Yep. Don't get me started on Turkish barbers. We've got, I've lost count how many are in our town, and they're never full. It's obvious what they're doing. They've always, every time I've walked past, they've always got the same customer in, having his hair cut. Right, we're on the 1 hour 21 mark. I think I've said all I'm going to say. I think we've covered a fair bit of topics. I like getting in and talking to you guys and doing stuff like this. Hopefully, when I get the better laptop, the streaming laptop, we can do better live streams. I can actually put videos in the feed, and I'll probably get the pro version of StreamYard, and we can have guests in and stuff like that. We can have chats about videos and stuff. That's what I want to do. I want to have a bit of a live streaming channel, bit of political comment videos, and me going out and about and doing protests and stuff like that. I want to do some Charlie Veitch-esque out and about videos as well. I like to do that as well, and just see what happens. Just go out into a city and just see what happens when I film for the day. Just see what happens. But yeah, that's where I want to take the channel. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming on. If you haven't already, go and follow me on X. I'll just get that link up. Go and follow me on X because I'm quite active on X. Actually, I'm going to stop calling it Twitter. Start and call it X because everybody knows what X is now. I think it's been long enough. It's humid here. It's been 28 degrees here today. It's been absolutely humid. That's one of the things that's strange that I wasn't ready for in Iraq. Can't say where we were, but you probably it was plus God, what was it? I forget. It was sometimes it was in the high 40s in the day, and at night it could drop down to 5 degrees, depending where you were. It never prepares you for the change in temperature. It's a strange place. Right, I'm gonna try and get my X account link in here. Channel. Ignore the buymeacoffee.com. I've got to get rid of that link. If you feel like you want to donate to the channel, please do so. I don't do this often because I don't want to be seen as a grifter. But it does help with the out and about videos and stuff like that. I've actually bought myself a body cam. It is. streaming to it anymore. I don't know if it's X who's actually in the line here. No. The name on X is Spartan Militia. Paste. And break. Yeah, it's because I've gone off. This is what I mean. It's when I go to a different site, the bandwidth just drops out completely. So this is me on Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter X, whatever you want to call it. When it pops up, that's me on Twitter at DarkKnightDA. Go follow me on Twitter. Like when my uncle was in the Western Desert and the first thing they gave him was a grey coat for the nights. Yeah, and nothing prepares you for a night out there. I was shocked. I think there was 1 or 2 mornings where I actually had to, in my mess tin, I had to break. Actually, was in my water canteen. I had to smash the ice in it because it was frozen solid. You think of Iraq, you think there's a Sahara desert, and you think blistering heat and warm nights. It's not warm at night at all. The heat just completely dissipates at night. It's gone, and the temperature drops really rapidly. As soon as that sun goes down, the temperature drops, and that's why they wear all those big baggy clothes. The Iraqis, because it's to wrap themselves up for the night as well. Keeps them warm. You're not here too late, still here. We'll keep it going for a little bit longer. Got here too late. No, you're not here too late. Not going just yet. So basically what I've been covering, I'll go through everything that I've covered from earlier. So we talked about this. So apparently Richard Inman has resigned from UKIP and joined Advanced UK. Lots of people not happy about that. He's getting some real pushback and backlash on X for that one. We talked about this. Apparently, dozens of MPs call for Starmer to urgently establish Ukraine-style visa for Gazans. They actually want refugees from Gaza to come to this country, which is just insane. Because if they come to this country, then there's no doubt some Hamas are going to be hiding amongst the refugees. They're going to come to this country. They're going to join up with Palestine Action, and they're going to have leadership. They're going to have real leadership from Hamas. And then all those in charge in this country can get ready, because things will kick off then. Things will kick off. Hello, mate. How you doing? Yeah, and I've stopped caring about Richard. Yeah, I have, mate. I don't care about that guy anymore now. Not interested. Nathan Turner Swift. There are so many parties that favour the right, but is the problem for the right as it is a weakness? It weakens the vote, exactly. 15 little parties now, including Reform. Reform's probably the biggest. Can you really call Reform a right-wing party, though? I don't think you can even call Reform centre-right at this point, can you? They're leaning on the left side of politics now. That was another thing as well. Did you watch the video I put up today where the documentarian, I forget his name again, I can't remember his name, but he had access to Farage with his permission for a few months, where they went around and made a documentary about Nigel Farage. And the thing about Nigel Farage is he let his guard down when the cameras weren't rolling. And I think he let his true feelings out, because he gave the impression to the documentarian that he was scared about being Prime Minister. He didn't really want to win. And the thing is, that should really be a red flag for everybody. Because if you're in a movement, if you're in a party that claims to want to reform the country, then you damn well better want to be Prime Minister, and you better have a backbone. And to me, it seems like that if he gets elected, if Reform get elected at the next general election, Farage is going to quit because he's not going to like the scrutiny of the mainstream media. Everybody's going to have eyes on him. He's going to be in the spotlight. It's easy being opposition because you're not really accountable for anything. But the minute when it's your responsibility, you're in charge of the country, that's what separates the wheat from the chaff. And that's where Nigel Farage is going to fall. That's the hurdle he's going to fall over. Because Nigel Farage, if he gets in government, he's not going to want to delegate power. He's going to want, he's going to have a cabinet meeting. It's just going to be him at the table because he won't have a cabinet, because he won't delegate power to anybody who he thinks could be a threat to his leadership. So his cabinet is going to be non-existent. It's just going to be him. It's all going to fall apart. If Reform UK are going to have Zai Yousaf instead of Farage, oh God. you know, and I know that's what we're heading towards. You're going to see Nigel Farage will probably be in number 10 for about, a couple of months. He'll say, oh, because of ill health, I'm standing down as leader and prime minister of the Reform Party. My good friend Zai Yousaf is taking over the position as prime minister. That's what's going to happen. I don't see them even getting to number 10. I think 4 years is a long time, and I think they're going to fizzle out. I think they're going to lose momentum. They're already losing momentum. They were talking about this on Lotus Eaters the other day. They were saying that that ticker that they're so proud of, it stopped going towards the 300,000 that they want. It's rolling back because people are cancelling their memberships. And it's starting to show. I think the other day they lost 3,000 subscribers within 3 days. Yeah, he's going to do a run at some point. He always does. He always bails out. Yes, it went to 5,000. Yeah, there's people on X who are monitoring it daily, and they keep reporting by how much it actually drops every day. I would say that they had a very rocky beginning, very rocky start, didn't they? The launch wasn't handled well at all. I hope that they've learned from their mistakes and they do some kind of relaunch to launch it properly. You don't launch a new political party at 7:30 in the morning via a tweet. You don't do that. You have a massive media event. You have a press conference. You have all the people around you, all the people, the team that you're going to be working with. You have them briefed. You tell them what to say. They have answers ready for questions that they might be asked. You do a press conference. And you invite members of the public to come to your press conference to ask you questions and have a Q&A. You ask people from the press to come so you can answer their questions. And it's all about promotion. The only promotion he did was via YouTube channels. And a lot of people aren't online. A lot of people don't have access to the internet. That's the trouble. Exactly. This is exactly what everybody's been saying. I've got nothing against Ben Habib. I think he would be a great leader. I do. But the way it was handled was just poor. And Stephen Wolf and all the others in that Lotus Eaters podcast, they're all saying the same thing. They said that his 30,000 members was unrealistic because he said that's they said that was £300,000 in the bank if he gets that many subscribers, members, whatever. And then Stephen Wolf came out and he said, he said what the operating costs were for UKIP at the time, and he says the operating costs for UKIP at the time were £2 million a year, and he said 300,000 isn't enough to run a political party. Hopefully, Elon Musk is going to get in there and throw some serious money at Ben Habib, because apparently he's been in talks with Elon Musk. Now, I'm not sure about the legality of that, of how somebody from another country can fund the political party of this country. I don't know if there's legality in that. I don't know at all. Whether he could do it from Tesla UK and fund the party that way, I don't know. But I think he's offering the same amount of money that he was going to offer to the Reform Party. If he does, then yeah, that's a good start. But maybe Ben Habib should have waited until Elon Musk had been in talks with him and everything was set in stone. Yeah, we've got the funding, we've got the backing. All we need is to get some members and stuff like that. And then we're going to kick things off. We're going to have a massive press conference. We're going to throw out all the stops. We're going to make a big impact. But instead of a nuclear explosion, it was more like a cheap standard fireworks banger, the impact that he made. I was disappointed that he and Rupert Lowe hadn't teamed up. And if he hasn't teamed up with Rupert Lowe, he needs to announce some big names that are behind him, that are backing him, that are in this new party with him. He needs to do that. And that's what he should have done. He should have come out on a stage with the team and said, this is my team. This is what we're going to do. This is our policies. I mean, he's got a mission statement for his party, but if you look at it, it's not really that different from any other party. Yeah, we believe in democracy. We believe in free speech. We believe in the sovereignty of the nation. That's not really any different from any other party, is it? At the minute. I totally agree. Totally agree with that. The right have to merge together. And Lawrence Fox said, and he said to Ben Habib, he said, look, take over the Reclaim Party. I don't want it. And it had memberships already, had everything in place. He could have changed the name of it to anything he wanted. And he was already set up, ready to go with a party and an infrastructure ready to go that he could have built on. And he said in an interview, I think, who was interviewing with? I think it was Dan Wootton. He had an interview with Dan Wootton because he brought it up. He said, well, what about Lawrence Fox? Lawrence Fox offered to give you the Reclaim Party to, build upon. And he said, I didn't realise that it came with no caveats and no, it's like, well, you've talked to him, you should have known. I think there's lots of mistakes been made in it. No offence to Ben, sorry, but it came off as amateurish. And I don't think it would have scared Nigel Farage at all. If he'd have come out with a really big, explosive launch that took the headlines away from the Reform Party for that day, then yeah, it would have scared Reform Party, because they, at the minute, the Reform, they're set in their ways. They think no other party can touch us. We can do whatever we like because people are going to vote for us, because the other two mainstream parties are totally collapsing. Labour and the Conservative Party are collapsing. So the only other option that people can see is Reform UK, and they've got a bit, complicit and a bit, oh, we're okay, we can do whatever we like, because there's no other party to really challenge them at the minute. If they have another party that is on par with them or equal to them in number, they will start to shit their pants and think, yeah, we need to up our game a little bit. We need to start doing what we're saying we're going to do, or we're just going to get, and if they don't, if they carry on double down, which is what they'll probably do, they'll get overtaken. But there's nothing out there that can challenge them. Lots of people don't like Lawrence Fox, yeah. I don't agree with what he did that time at the Tommy Robinson rally where he refused to go on stage. I think that was a bit off. It does have a lot of money. And, I wish we knew where all that money was coming from. There have been rumours, allegedly, of where all that money is coming from. What's up, Keith Barber, mate? Oh, I'm fucking talking. Yeah, okay. Oh, here we go. Vote Reform UK. Yeah, okay then, Keith. Right, you're saying vote Reform UK. Right, if you keep spamming, mate, you will be gone. All right. The one thing we won't. It's the same as my 2C. Don't spam. You spam, you're gone. Make an argument. Have your say. Have an opinion. Don't spam, or you'll be gone. All right. That's your first warning. Spam again, and you'll be gone. So rather than just saying vote for Reform, why should we vote for Reform UK? Why should we vote for them? Keith, tell us that. Why should we vote for them? I disagree with that. He is a leader. Tenconi is a great guy with great morals, but unfortunately he's not a leader. He is a leader. Unfortunately, he's inherited a party that's been torpedoed by Nigel Farage that is dead. It's dead on arrival. When he took it over, I mean, he was interim leader. As soon as he became leader, he should have just totally rebranded the party completely, got rid of any influence or sight of Farage on the party, changed the logo completely, got rid of that pound sign shite, got rid of that, maybe put a union flag with UKIP in the middle of it, UK Independence Party, because the UK Independence Party is still relevant. We still need our independence from the European Union because that hasn't happened yet. So that is still relevant. He just needs to rebrand it. He needed to be a phoenix rising from the ashes, rising from the ashes of the old UKIP to the new UKIP. That's what he needed to do. So we can get Nigel Farage elected. He's already elected. Nigel Farage is already elected. He's already an MP. Get Richard Tice elected. He's already an MP. As vice president. Not entirely sure what you're talking about there, Keith Barber. It's like what Lawrence Fox said. It's like herding cats on acid. The right wing. Everybody, if you look at every party's policies, they're all exactly the same. The only thing that differentiates them is the egos. It's not policy that's getting in the way of the right uniting, it's egos. Because everybody in the right wants to be the person that saves the country, and they want it to be their party that does it. And that's what's stopping everyone from unifying at the minute. I've said this before. Tice is a game show host without the charisma of a game show host. He's the most bland grey man, and if anybody knows what a grey man is, you'll know. The most bland grey man out there. He has no charisma at all. Nothing. There is nothing that says I'm a lead about Richard Tice at all. I actually think he'll bottle it. I think he'll bottle it. And to be honest, maybe that's the reason why he's been making all these stupid statements lately, because he wants to go down in the polls. He wants to be an MP, but he doesn't want to win the next election. Of course, he's going to say all the right things. Nigel Farage is one of these sort of people that enjoys the build-up. He enjoys the attention he's getting because, yeah, I'm going to possibly be the next Prime Minister. But he doesn't want the responsibility of that job. He loves the build-up to it. He loves the attention he's getting because, he could potentially be the next Prime Minister, but he doesn't want to be Prime Minister. That's the issue. Okay, then, let's go. I have a method for getting past the ego thing. Okay, let's see a solution. Farage is a political butterfly. He's got a history of doing this, though, hasn't he? He left UKIP. UKIP was becoming popular. It was becoming, Gerard Batten was taking the party somewhere, and because it wasn't Farage doing it, he used Tommy Robinson to smear UKIP, and that's how he destroyed the party. He called Tommy Robinson and his followers far-right, knuckle-dragging, drunken thugs, and he wanted no part of UKIP because he didn't like the direction the party was going, and he threw all his toys out the pram. And he must have been planning to create the Brexit Party for months, even when he was he interim president of UKIP at the time? Even when he was president of UKIP, he must have been planning the Brexit Party. He knew exactly what he was going to do. So when he left UKIP, he torpedoed UKIP, destroyed UKIP, and then he pushed forward with the Brexit Party. And then what did he do? He became the Brexit Party, and then 2019, he stood down all his parliamentary candidates and allowed Boris Johnson to walk in to the job. And basically, Farage says it because he didn't want to let Corbyn in. But in reality, the country was destroyed anyway because Boris Johnson wrecked the country. He locked us down because of the flu, shut businesses down. The economy never recovered. The country never recovered from that. The hospitality industry never recovered from that. I've got friends, pubs shut down. They just couldn't. They were in lots of debt. They limped on for months and then eventually shut down. Lots of doormen lost their jobs. Lots of barmaids lost their jobs, stuff like that. And if you look round our town centre in Chesterfield, the pubs that are closed are unbelievable. There used to be a really good nightlife in Chesterfield at one time. Not anymore. It's all closed down. It's all gone. All because he locked the country down. People lost their businesses. Publicans lost their houses because they used to live above the pubs and stuff like that. People who relied on pubs for their trade and stuff like that, they lost their businesses. There's a knock-on effect. It's never recovered. Country has never recovered from that era. Absolutely destroyed the country, Boris Johnson did. And we've still got idiots now. We're still using the hashtag bring back Boris. And it's like, fucking morons. Okay, I'm sorry, Keith, but you're going bye-bye. Keith's gone bye-bye. Yeah, I'm not getting my channel shut down because of some idiot in the comments inciting violence. He was calling for the death of Boris Johnson in the chat, so he went bye-bye. I don't think he was the full picnic, to be honest with you, that guy, was he? Yeah, let's face it, right, the reason they shut down hospitality. It wasn't because they were scared that the people were going to get affected with the virus. Look at the stupid restrictions they brought in. You're okay to sit down and you can take your mask off, but if you stand up, you've got to put your mask back on. And people fell for that shit. They seriously believe that the virus will discriminate in altitude. If you sit down in your chair, you're not going to get infected. If you stand up, you're going to get infected. What a complete load of horse shit. All that was. And they had supermarkets open. You got people walking around. I was there, I was doing security at the time. You got people walking around the supermarket touching food with their hands without any gloves on or anything. And that's perfectly fine. You've got other people shopping, touching stuff that produce that other people have touched. That's perfectly fine. No biohazard bins for masks, for people who use masks. Masks was blowing around the streets. If they cared that much about the infection and they locked you down, they would have locked you down totally. It would have been a complete lockdown. You would have had the army on the streets delivering water and delivering MREs to each household. That's what would have been happening. The lunacy of lockdowns was insane. Supermarkets can stay open, hospitality must close, shops must close, only essential businesses must stay open. Supermarkets, their air ventilation system, they said, oh, is it airborne? It's like it's blowing, it would blow any virus around the store. And the masks, it's like unless you're wearing a full hazmat suit, you're not protected from a virus. If you're not protecting every mucous membrane, you're not protected. If you're not wearing some kind of eye protection, viruses can enter through your eyes. It's not just breathing them in. If it's airborne, a virus will enter through your eyes. Even if somebody sneezes, the water droplets will eventually settle into your mucous membranes in your eyes, and you will get infected that way. It was total bollocks, and people fell for it. Exactly. An airborne disease that evaded eyes and ears. And apparently it was similar to the flu virus, and the flu virus can live up to 24 hours on any surface. And you've got people walking around in supermarkets touching different produce, probably touching the face, touching the maskers, then touching the produce. I was watching them. People were like lifting their mask, touching their face constantly, and then touching other things. It's just laughable. I had the most fun I ever had on they used to try and make me offer masks. I'm not offering a mask. I said, if people want to take a mask, they can take a mask out of the box, but I'm not offering them a mask. That's not my job. And when they asked me why, I said, because of the 2010 Equalities Act. Because how do I know that somebody walking into the supermarket has got PTSD or not? And I pressure them into wearing a mask that they don't want to wear. Maybe they've been through some kind of ordeal where they've had some kind of smothering experience that's given them PTSD, and now I'm asking them to wear a mask. Maybe they don't want to wear a mask. Maybe they don't want to reveal why they don't want to wear a mask. And then you'd have people walking with lanyards on, stating why, I've got a hidden illness, I'm not going to state it, I'm not wearing a mask. I had to leave them alone. Eventually I had to quit. I just quit. I can't do it. I said, I can't do this anymore. Because they insisted that I enforce the restrictions. I'm not enforcing any restrictions. It's not my job. I believed it was bullshit anyway. The first day they brought in the mask restrictions, I actually went into the store without a mask on. As a security officer, I refused to wear it. I didn't wear a mask. I refused to wear one. And they were constantly on at me about it. Like, why don't you wear a mask? It's none of your business. I've got PTSD. I'm not going to wear a mask. Simple as that. And to ask me to do so, using it against them. I think the 2010 Equalities Act is bollocks, but it was useful at the time because you could use their own bullshit against them because they couldn't argue against it. It's like, no, I'm protected under the 2010 Equalities Act, mainly hidden illnesses. So you can't force me to disclose my hidden illness because it causes me anxiety and stress. And that used to mess with them. That used to mess them so much. Eventually, I had the area manager come round, security area manager come round, and he said, "You must wear a mask." And I told him to F off, and I walked off the job. And now I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. You're not forcing me to wear a mask. It's not happening. It's bullshit. I gave him the science behind it as well. I was saying, you do realise that wearing a mask is basically, to a virus, this paper mask is like chucking sand through a chain link fence. It doesn't stop anything. He was in it. I went out all the time, Steve. I broke all the restrictions. I went out camping. You know, I went miles. I walked miles. I probably got followed in the Peak District by Derbyshire Constabulary when they were spying on people using their drones, following people in the Peak District who were walking alone. They were walking alone in the Peak District. Nobody was there. They were completely alone and saying, "This isn't essential travel. You shouldn't be doing this." Like, what the hell? You know, how is that dangerous? You're out in the middle of nowhere. Out in the middle of nowhere. It was insane. Absolutely crazy. There was no way I was going to be confined to the house, not with my PTSD, because when I have bouts of PTSD, it helps me to get out of the house, go walking, and just clear my head. Go out mountain biking, go for miles out on a mountain bike, and do that sort of thing. And I was seeing people on the internet getting arrested, thinking, "Oh, this isn't essential travel." How quickly the police became authoritarian. We saw videos of them going around arresting little old grannies for sitting on park benches on their own because they didn't want to be on their own in the house. They just wanted to get out. And you saw police arresting them for that. The most hilarious thing I saw, I thought it was brilliant at the time. I still giggle about it now. So somebody that they put a mannequin out on the beach and dressed it up in clothes, and the police went out to it and tried to arrest it because they thought it was somebody. "Oh, somebody's having fun on the beach. We've got to be authoritarian. We've got to go and arrest them." And it turned out to be a mannequin. Somebody dressed a mannequin up and put it on the beach. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was great. Actually, now I'll not go off this because if I do, it'll just slow the stream down again. But I was going to try and get it up. It was a crazy time. We'll look back on that time in history when all this comes out in the open, probably, in 100, 120 years from now, when everything comes out, when everything's been declassified about this era. And they'll look back at that, and, we've had the Bronze Age, we've had the Stone Age, we've had the Iron Age. It'll be the stupid age. It'll be the stupid age. It's that time when people were walking around with goldfish balls on their heads, that they put fucking plastic, those little plastic container boxes with little tubes going in. It's like a kid would make. If you were pretending to be an astronaut, it's like something a kid would make to make themselves look like an astronaut, like a little fucking goldfish bowl on their head with a tube coming out of it onto the back. That was hilarious. And those people that were walking around with the camping toilets, the see-through camping toilets. Fucking hell. Actually, I had one or two of them come in store that came in with these, they look like those little greenhouses that you made to grow tomatoes in your back garden. Those cheaper ones you can get from B&M. People walking around with greenhouses on their heads. Fucking stupid. Absolutely stupid. It was one big psyop. It was one big experiment to see how they could control the public. Very telling that SAGE didn't have any virologists at all. It was all behavioural scientists. It was all about how to manipulate the public into following the restrictions. It was insane. The stupid age when people thought they could change. Yeah, exactly. Clown age. Oh, God. Have you seen that from Ofcom as well? Ofcom have stated that TV programs must say that trans women are women. They must say that, yeah, trans women can be women, even though the High Court has ruled that, yeah, trans women don't exist. They don't exist. You can only be the gender you were at birth. So if you're born with a penis, you're a male. If you're born with a vagina, you're a woman. There are only two sexes. The High Court ruled that. That's the definition of male and female. And yet, Ofcom want to overrule that and tell TV programs and stuff like that, yep, you must push this agenda. You know, this is policy I want to see. This, you know, apart from immigration, they need to tackle the institutions that are pushing this bullshit. There needs to be a massive clampdown on universities and colleges, and they must insist that any colleges that are funded by the government remove this Marxist bullshit, this indoctrination from schools and colleges and universities. It has to go. Because higher education isn't higher education more, it's higher indoctrination. You start off at, you know, at school with lower indoctrination. You probably go to a college, you get medium indoctrination. Then you go to university, and that's where you get your higher indoctrination. Because that's how they get into the generations. They're getting them young. They're getting them indoctrinated in schools, colleges, and universities first. And that's how they're changing the mind of the population. That's how they're brainwashing the population into their bullshit. And that's what I want to see from parties. You know, I've not seen Reform say anything about education or anything like that, or what they're going to do. Maybe they have done, but I've not seen it where they've stated, yeah, we want to stop this in our education system. I've heard them talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in government. They want to get rid of that, but I've not heard anything about education. I've not heard them anything about reforming the College of Policing. It needs to be purged from all of our institutions. It needs to go. Oh, right, Craig. I'm going to bring this one up because this is a good one. Right, I don't understand anybody that still pays their TV license. I don't get that. After everything the BBC has done, nobody should be paying their TV license anymore. I haven't watched terrestrial TV in about 10 years. I've not watched it because it's woke bullshit. They don't produce anything that I'd want to watch. Not at all. The main things I watch are YouTube. I watch YouTube, and that's probably about it now. And I read articles online. That's what I do. I don't watch any of that shit anymore. I have a TV for the kids, but they don't watch mainstream TV. They either watch Netflix or something streaming. They watch YouTube on the TV. That's it. I'm trying. Yeah, my son's anti-woke. I'm trying to get my daughter to prepare her for the brainwashing she's going to face. She's at an Outward Academy, and there's already some dodgy stuff on the curriculum there. Yeah. And the thing is, right, all you have to do, they've already said it, that the TV license is unenforceable. All you have to do is cancel your TV license. Don't even cancel it. Just don't renew it. Don't renew it. If you get your letter through the post, rip it up, stick it in the bin, file it under B for bin. If any of their salesmen come around, because they're not enforcers, they're not official or anything like that, they can't enter your home. Don't speak to them. When they come to your door, open the door to them. They say, yeah, who are you? Oh, I'm from the TV licensing. You say, not today, thank you. And you shut the door in their face. End of that. They've got no authority. They can't put their foot in the door. They can't enter your property illegal. They can't do it. They've got no authority. They are just salespeople. That's it. Watch a guy on YouTube called is it something Concarne, Chili Concarne, something like that. He does all about the BBC stuff. Some great people to look at as well. People I watch. I watch Crime Bodge. I think I've mentioned this before. Crime Bodge. He's a great content creator. He basically deals with police and their overreach, and he's had lots of successful cases that he's brought against the police for different people when they've overstepped the mark. Is it Jimmy Concarne? Jimmy Concarne, something like that. Something like that, Steve. But yeah, he deals with all the BBC licensing stuff. And yeah, he's great. He just says, yeah, don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of the letters you get through the door. Just rip them up, stick them in the bin. And if you get anybody from TV licensing come round, you don't speak to them. You don't sign anything from them. All you say is, that's it. I've had enough. Keith Barber. Right. I hope you haven't come back in another account, Keith. Yeah, you don't say anything. You don't give them any feedback or anything. A lot of people have been caught out. They said, okay, that's fair enough. Just sign here. And it's actually a form admitting that you've been watching TV without a license, because apparently they get a commission. They get a commission if they get a conviction. They get a commission if they sell a TV license. But and this is what he said on his channel. He said, basically, they'll do you for both. They'll get you to commit and say, yeah, I've been watching live TV without a license. They'll get you on that, and then they'll get you to sign up for a TV license, and they'll get commission for both. They're absolute scumbags. Don't say anything to them. Don't sign anything. Don't sign anything, and just shut the door in the face. Record them at the door. Get evidence and say, not interested today, thank you. Advanced UK have had 5,000 sign up in 24 hours. I'm going to give Ben a chance. He will have a plan. He will go hard on exposing fake frauds. Exactly, right. The only thing, look, I'm not dissing Ben at all. I'm just disappointed in the way that he handled the launch of the party. I really am. Yeah, he's had 5,000 in 24 hours. That's really good. But let's see if he can maintain that amount of people joining every day. If he gets 5,000 people every day, I'll be impressed. I'll be the first one to congratulate him. But I think that's going to peter off. I think it's just the excitement on the first day. You'd expect that to be a lot more. Given the state of the country, given the need for actual leadership, you'd expect that to be more in reality. If he'd have had a massive press conference, he could have had at least 20,000 people joining the first day, if you put it out there properly. 5,000 in 24 hours, it's not a lot. It'll be interesting to see what numbers he pulls in on the second day and on the third day. If that starts to peter off, then his party's in trouble. But we'll see. I could be wrong. But he could have had, the state of the country, he should have had way more people interested in his party. Don't you think? With how many patriots are out there, with how many people that turn up to Tommy Robinson's rallies and stuff like that, and he's only had 5,000 in the first First 24 hours, it's not a lot. Right, guys, this is probably the longest I've been on, 2 hours, 10 minutes. So I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to call it a night here. Hang on a minute. I'll just get this one last comment and then we'll call it a night. Youngle, yes, that's great. But what are the policies he's going to get rid of? And Rupert sign on for the grooming gang was about 20K in the first 24 hours. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying. You know, given the state of the country and the desperation for leadership, that should have been way over 5,000. It really should have been. Right, thanks, Steve. I'm going to give Templar the last thing. Thanks, Finn. Next time, everyone. Thanks, Templar. Thanks, everybody, for coming to watch. It's been a great live stream again. I'm looking forward to the time when I can start inviting some of you guys in and getting your opinions on things. It's going to be great. Can't wait to do that. Get this one, and that's quite a good one. Heard you want your TV license back. Yeah, good one. I like that. Anybody else? Night all. Try and get a few more people in before I go. Night, mate. Thanks for watching. Rupert and Ben have a plan, I reckon, and Elon. I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope it works out for them. I really do. The only thing I'm criticising is the way the launch was handled. I think if they'd handled the launch better, Ben would have had a bigger exposure and had a lot more people coming out and supporting him. I really do. We'll see. You know, anything can happen. You know, but we'll see what happens at Tommy Robinson's rally. Tommy Robinson may come out and endorse Advance UK. Tommy Robinson's got a massive reach. He may endorse more than one party. He could come out and say, go UKIP and Advance. Go for it. Right, mate, if all you're going to do is spam shit, then you're gone. Okay? You can make as many accounts as you want. Start spamming and you're gone. And with all my mods, Steve, if you see anybody spamming in the chat, constantly spamming the same thing from now on, just don't ask me, mate, just ban them. We'll have similar rules to what my 2C's got. You can post whatever you like, you can post arguments, you can disagree with me all you like in the comments, but don't keep spamming the same thing over and over again. That will just get you banned. All right? I think that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Can't be fairer than that. Believe in free speech, but don't spam. Don't spam, don't dox, anything like that. Don't incite violence. And you'll be fine. Just come with regular arguments, and good conversation, and a good vibe. Yeah? All right, Steve. Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah. Yeah, I think we have to set some ground rules. No spamming, no inciting violence. If you want to post a link, just ask me first so I can check out the link first and I'll post it myself. All right? Yeah, no racism of any kind. Right, I'm gonna let this person have I can't pronounce your name. What is it? Yagdrol. Is that Yagdrol? Ben and Rupert may not be the ones, but we have nobody else at the moment. Yeah. Let's hope they can come together and something is worked out. Yeah. I want to get as many people as I can before I go. Then it's a distraction. And remember, when we need a hero, they provide us one. Don't trust a single one of the Nabari. They all are the same, but know what to say because we're telling them on YT chat. Yeah, okay. Okay, guys, that's it. It's a night. We're going to call it a night. Thanks for all coming on. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Go and follow me on Twitter, Dark Knight DA, Spartan Militia. Go type that in on Twitter, X, whatever. Go follow me on there. If you want to donate to the channel, you can do so. Just check out the channel bio and the links in there, and you can donate to the channel as well. It's all appreciated. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Vindicator. Sign off. Good night, all. Have a good evening.